Now that we've discussed some about inverse trigonometric functions, let's look at the graphs of these functions. To do so, we first need to graph our trig functions on their restricted domains. So we'll look at three trig functions. We'll look at the sine of x on minus pi over 2 to pi over 2, including the endpoints, the cosine of x on 0 to pi, again including the endpoints, and the tangent of x from minus pi over 2 to pi over 2, where we have vertical asymptotes at minus pi over 2 and pi over 2. The graphs of the inverse trig functions can be found by reflecting each of these graphs along the line y equals x. So I've done that here for the sine function, which I have as a dark blue dashed line. I have a very faint light blue line for y equals x, and our red line here is the inverse sine of x. So here, let me show it again by itself. So the form of the inverse sine of x graph looks like this, and we remember our notation for the inverse sine. So if I do the same kind of process, reflecting along the line y equals x here for the cosine of x on its restricted domain, I get this shape for the inverse cosine of x, and then doing the same reflection along y equals x for the tangent, I end up with a very similar shape that goes off to plus infinity and minus infinity for the inverse tangent of x. So these are the graphs of three of our inverse trig functions.